So I made a mock-up of a upper cabinet shelf with a face frame lip here and wanted to demonstrate how the sliding spice rack gets installed. And I figured this would be easier than trying to stick a camera inside the cabinet. Plus, I'm going to be installing this at my daughter's house later, and I'm not going to be using these at my house right away. But anyway, so I have all my pieces assembled here, and I'm going to start with the two track pieces, the track and the front. And I set this lip on the face frame to be about 3 millimeters, and I use the 4 millimeter track clearance. So you can see to install this, what you're going to want to do is just snap the front track into the main track, and then line it up. And you don't want to bump it in tight to the face frame. You do want to have a little bit of room because you're going to actually be installing the front piece after the main track is screwed down and locked in. So what I did is I just took one of the 3 millimeter rods and used it as a spacer, and I kind of set it in there, and I marked my 3 holes and drilled them. And then once you've done that and marked your holes and you're ready to go, pull the front piece off and go ahead and screw in the main track on the back 2 screws. And I did this earlier, so it should go pretty quick. And once these are in, the next step is going to be to kind of assemble the shelf, because it has to get, you have to remember you're going to have an upper shelf in here, and depending on how much space you have, you won't be able to assemble the spice rack in the cabinet itself. So the sliding rail, which is this piece, printed in this orientation, but you're going to flip it over, and we need to assemble this with the bottom rack, which has the hole in the middle, the recessed hole for the Chicago screw that we're going to use. But before we do that, I just wanted to show you. So this slides in with the wider part first. It goes in the track, and you just want to check and make sure you got smooth motion, which we do. So the next step then is to take your Chicago screw and the large washer, and we're going to slide that up from the bottom. And make sure I stay in camera here. And then we're going to slide the bottom shelf onto the Chicago screw, and then use another small washer. And then the threaded screw goes in here. And just to point out, when I fully assemble this, finally, I'm going to use blue thread locker in here. This is like a medium hold. You can still get it apart with a screwdriver, but it will help keep the screw in place so that as you're using this, it won't come loose and have that screw drop out. But you can see that that's a nice smooth motion once that Chicago screw is put in there, and you can spin it around. So once we've done this, then the next step is to assemble our shelves. And I haven't cut all my rods to length yet because I wanted to get this demo done and get it out there. But basically, the way this goes together is after you print this, you want to clean out all of the little 3 millimeter holes. I just have it's a long one, but it's the only bit I have. It's a 3 millimeter bit, and I just went in and by hand with a hand drill, I cleaned up all these holes to make sure they were loose. So once the rods just insert with a good friction fit, and then you set your top shelf on, and I'm out of camera here again, so let me fumble with this. But yeah, basically line up the holes and give it a push, and it'll be nice and solid on there. And then once you have your whole shelf assembled, now you slide in the whole thing on the track, and then your front piece, let me turn this around. So you can see a little better. So this would be the back of your cabinet. This is the front. Slide the whole thing back as far as it goes, and take that front piece, and you're going to have to come in over the top of the face frame, but we've got the little rectangular tabs here that are going to snap into the side. But just give it a little push and lock it in. And now we've got our shelf assembled, and we can pull it all the way out, rotate it, get at our spices that we have on the shelf, close it up, slide it back in. So it's that simple. It works really well. Yeah, I don't expect any issues here. You could tighten up the Chicago screw a little bit with either a thicker washer or maybe a couple washers, thin ones. Um, and the thread locker will help too, but I didn't really crank this down super tight, but it all has a nice smooth action and it works great. So that's how it goes together. Working inside your cabinet, I understand, may not be as easy to do. And then the other thing I would point out is the front mounting. Let me grab this one. So the front part of the track does also have a screw hole for mounting, which you could you could get a screw in there. The problem is it's covered up by the shelf once it's all assembled, so you'd have to get in there with a short screwdriver, and get in there. It'll be a little fiddly, but it could be done. So those are the options. It works great. I will know for sure when I get it all assembled and full of spices, but I'm confident it's going to be a really, really nifty little unit. So I hope this helps. I hope you enjoy the model if you do print it and install it, and please post a make if you do. Thanks.